Hey, it's Andrew Brown from AWS Cloud Project Bootcamp, bringing you another video. And this time, we are going to be doing Dynamodb as we did RDS and stuff like that. We still don't know if our service works because we haven't actually reseeded our data, which is something that we'll need to do. But we do need to get more of this CloudFormation stuff done. If we don't get it done in time, we're going to be running into some trouble for our next week because we really need to have it in place for our next guest instructor. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and we're going to take a look here at our CloudFormation templates. And I'm going to make a new one here. I'm going to call this Dynamodb. And in here, I'm going to make a new folder or file. We'll say template.yaml. And then as always, we'll have a config.toml. I know everything's really small, so let me just bring it up here a bit. And we'll go down below. I'm going to go into our CFN directory here, and we'll just say new file, ddb deploy. Okay, we'll go here, grab the db deploy. We'll go grab its contents. We will paste it in here, and then we'll just have to make a few changes. So instead of db, this is going to be ddb and ddb, and then down below, this one still says CRUDR cluster. It's supposed to say CRUDR DB, and then this one is supposed to be CRUDR DDB. I mean, it's basically the same name as the stack, but it will propagate on all the resources there, and that's why we want to have that there. We don't need the master user password here. That's not going to be something that we care about, so we'll just take that out there. Okay, and so yeah, that looks fine. So what we'll need to do is go over to our template YAML. Now this could be a great opportunity for us to use some SAM. SAM is a subset of CloudFormation. It's just macros that allow you to implement stuff a lot easier in CloudFormation. So we'll look up SAM Dynamodb. And this might also make sense to do because we also have that Lambda function for the Dynamodb streams that we might want to set up as well. So let's go take a look here and see if we can find it. So the difference here is that we have this transform line. And this transform line means that, because normally when you create, this is a Dynamodb stream in a table, perfect thing that we need. But the thing is that when you normally create a Dynamodb table with CloudFormation, okay, the stuff can be a lot more verbose. And so and I think it's the same. This one actually might be the same, but definitely for Lambdas and API Gateway, there's a difference. And the amount of code would be significantly reduced that we'd have to write. So basically, transforms allows you to add new functionality or write shorthand for existing stuff. It's kind of like how modules work in Terraform. Or you know how there's constructs in CDK, kind of like that. But I just thought it was a great opportunity to use it. It might not be very clear with the streams or here, but we'll find out as we go. Well, this one definitely is, it's just a serverless here, so this one definitely is using SAM because normally you'd use a Lambda. And so if we did a Lambda versus this, there'd be so much less to write, which there is here. But we actually need both of this stuff, so this is actually kind of perfect that we have both of these. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this stuff here. We're going to go ahead and paste that in. But we still need to be diligent about reading about all this stuff. So what I want to do here, whoops, I'm just going to click off. Nice that we can click through that. So I'm going to click through that one. And we're going to see if we get full documentation on that. We do. Great. So we'll go here, and we will paste this above here. Okay. And then I'm going to go over to Dynamodb table. So this one is not SAM specific. It's just going to be whatever. So I'm going to go over here, and we're going to go grab this one. Okay, and then we can walk through it as we normally do and make sure we have all the stuff that we need. Now we definitely are going to need Dynamodb table first. So I'm going to put that first, just so that's a little bit more organized. And we'll get our description in here because we should have our description. And I think we do this way. I think so. So we'll go here and we'll just say Dynamodb table. And then we have Dynamodb stream. And I think those are the two things that we need. So Now it's going to be hopefully very easy. So I'm going to just zoom out a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. We're going to go back over to over here. And this is just an example template, so there's nothing else we can really do with this one. We want to go to our Dynamodb table, and let's carefully walk through all these attributes and figure out what's going on here. So we have a bunch of properties here, attribute definitions, billing mode, contributor insights, stuff like that. So we'll just start from the top and see what it is that we need. So a list of attributes that describe the key schema for our tables and indexes. So if we go over here, we create a table in our, it's in our bin directory, right? So we can go here and we can go to DDB, and we should have one that's like schema load. And so this one actually creates the table. And so we have our attribute definitions, and these are very similar. So we can go here, map this over. Now we could technically, I suppose we could technically go and use ChatGPT and say, make this CloudFormation. But I think I'd rather just manually do it so that we don't have to worry about things that go wrong, as ChatGPT is not perfect. I almost imagine that in the future we'll probably end up using open source ones, because the open source LLVMs or whatever you call them are getting really good. So that'll be something that'll be exciting for phase 2 or whenever we do that. But anyway, so now we have these attributes defined. So that was pretty quick. We'll do the key schema next. So that's what is going to be PK. And next we'll do SK, and we'll do range. Okay. We have provision throughput. That is something we have, and that's already set to 5, so that is perfect. The stream specification, we'll come back to that in a second, because we definitely need that for that. We clearly need global secondary indexes, so I imagine that's going to be pretty much the same. But let's just take a look at some other things. So billing mode provisioned. Do we have that specified? Probably by default it uses provision, because that's the free tier. It probably is, but let's just explicitly set it, because we do set it, I believe, explicitly somewhere in here, right? Do we not? Yeah, down here. So I'm going to put that in, because we definitely want to make sure that that is clear. So bring that value over, and we'll paste that in. Contributor insight specification. This setting used to enable CloudWatch contributor insights. That sounds pretty cool. I haven't used it much, but I almost think that it's probably something that is free, or free as in it uses CloudWatch. So we could probably turn that on, but I just don't know much about it. So I think today I'm just going to leave it off. Deletion, because we haven't really done much that we needed it. Now, if contributor insights shows us things like, because there's container insights, but contributor insights is not the same thing. Let's go here. Most access patterns, stuff like that. So we get kind of analytical information there. I think if we did a data bootcamp, this is where this would be perfect. Today, I don't think we're going to do that. So I'll leave it not specified. Deletion protection enabled. We probably don't want this database getting torn down. So I'm going to go here and just place that in here. We'll say true. So that's probably what the value is supposed to be. It says Boolean. Yeah. Now we need our global secondary indexes. So this is something we definitely want. I have a strong feeling this is going to be identical in terms of its structure, but let's go take a look here and see if that's true. So it says list of global secondary index. We'll open this up. It'd be nice if they had an example here so we could save ourselves some trouble. So we have this, and it said it was a list. So notice it says list of global secondary index. That's important, because that means that we're going to put a hyphen here like this. Okay. And I guess this is an array up here, so it also is a list. But we'll go here and we'll paste this in here. We'll go back over here. Whoops. And we'll go up here. Now we have our key schema, so we will bring this down a line like this. I'm going to assume it's the same, so we'll just go and bring this over. Paste. This is in the same item here, so I'm just going to take those off like that. Key type, oops, hash. We have key schema here. There's 2 of them. So then we have our SK. So here this will say SK, range. Projection is projection type all. So I'm gonna, that's just looks like, bring this down like this. Again, I'm guessing to see if this works. I think it will. It doesn't matter if you have, do we need the, yeah, we put colons in this, right? I'm almost forgetting how to write YAML for some weird reason here, but here we have projection type all, so that's good. We already have our provision throughput. Oh, we have to specify twice actually, so we'll just take this out here, and we do have probably the same thing here, so we'll bring this down as well. Okay. And so, yeah, it looks like that is specified. Let's see if there's any other things that we could be setting. Import source specification specifies the properties of data being imported from S3 bucket. That's cool that we can do that. Don't care right now. Key schema, we already defined that. Kinesis stream specification. We're not streaming to Kinesis, but that sounds like fun. LSIs, we're not doing any of those. Point in time recovery specification. Recovery sounds good, not doing that right now. Provision throughput, we set that. SSC specification, I think by default it uses server-side encryption, right? If it doesn't, we'll have to set it later. Stream specification, the settings of DynamoDB table stream which capture changes to items stored, and that, we definitely want to set that. Table class, so the table class of the new table. Valid values are standard or standard infrequency access. We just want to go with standard. I have never played with infrequent access, but that also sounds pretty cool. I assume that we save money if you're not using it often. So it's nice to see that there are options. But yeah, AWS is always, and all cloud services are adding things all the time, but you know, I don't need to always look in and learn these things because a lot of times the new features are things that we've seen other places and the concepts are the same. So it's really great for me for that. I don't feel pressured to learn everything in detail. Time to live specification, specify the TTL for the table, which would be cool if you want the whole table to expire. We probably want it per item. That's something that we haven't really done in the bootcamp, is to do the timeout stuff. That might run into issues when we're doing ML, but I guess we will figure that out as we go here. So I think that that is good, but we just should look into that specification stream. And all it says is stream type view. So here we have keys only, new image, new old image. I don't remember what we set it as. Let's make our way over to DynamoDB and we'll go and figure that out, okay? And in here we have our tables. We are in CA Central, so we'll just switch that over there. Happens to me all the time, puts me in the different regions. But also sometimes I change and I just forget. But I blame AWS every single time because I cannot be wrong. So we'll go here into our exports and streams. And in here it says new image. So that's what I wanted to know. There also is the latest StreamArn attached to that. So that's kind of interesting. But we're already set up, I think, for the correct type. So then down below here is going to be the DynamoDB stream. We can click through onto this, hold control to do that. There we go. I think we already had it open, but we will open it again a second time for fun. Going over here, it says create an AWS Lambda function as IAM execution role, yada, yada, yada. We'll scroll on down and you can see there's actually quite a few options, still less, I think, than a Lambda, but we do have a lot of options here. So let's go take a look at what we have already. So it wants a handler, a runtime, a policy. How did we do our Lambda? That's a good question. So this is something I want to check out. This one's called CRUD messaging stream. So we'll go over to Lambda and take a look here. As I can't remember if we made a Lambda layer or what have you here. We go down to the CRUD messaging stream. I'm looking for stuff. So this is what the handler was called. Terrible name for a handler, but I don't like that. But anyway, we'll just keep it the same. Not how I would name it. But here, that's what they're asking for as the handler. It's probably just this part, Lambda handler, but let's go double check here. We go here, we'll take a look at the handler. The function with your within your code that is to be called. Okay, so the function to be called within our code is called Lambda handler. That's the function. The runtime here right now is Python 3.8. So we'll look up runtime here. Runtime. And so I think it's the identifier we're looking for. So this is going to be at 3.8. You probably shouldn't hard code this value, but we're going to do that for now. Or it's always homework for you to do. I mean, you're learning as we go here, so I don't have to show you everything in the correct format. I think you can decide what you want to extract out yourself. Policy, so AWS Lambda Dynamodb execution role. I don't know what we need for this. Let's go over to here. I mean, that might be the one we're already using for our policy. So we'll go over to configuration and we'll go to permissions. I'm trying to see what the policy is. It's here. This is our execution role. Let's go take a look and see what it has. We'll give it a moment to think. Here, this is what we provided for it. There's actually quite a lot going on in here, kind of. Interesting. Let's go back over here, policies. Let's go take a look at what policies is here. So here we have, well, they have role, but why do we have policies as well? Is one inline? We could also just click through here and done that this way. Permission policies for this function. Policies will be appended to the function default AWS IAM. So the property accepts a single value of list of values. It was SAM policy templates, AWS managed policies, the name of AWS managed policy from the following list, IAM policies. So I guess it's a fast way to attach policies. It's kind of like a shorthand. Do we want to do it that way? I don't know. I think I'd probably rather just create a proper one. We could take a look at policy templates here. And so this looks like kind of a short form here. So we have DynamoDB stuff. I mean, we probably should use it because it's shorter. There's probably like a generic Lambda. Lambda gives permission to invoke an AWS Lambda function or alias. So probably we need that. We go back over to the one that we have here. Let's take a look. At our role here. So we have Lambda basic execution. Maybe there's one like called basic execution here. Where'd these go here? Not the runtime. Where'd they go? SAM policy templates. Let's go here. Basic execution. Lambda execution. Why don't they have like a basic one? I mean, it could be the Lambda one that we looked at, but I'm not 100% sure. Lambda invoke policy gets permission to invoke an AWS Lambda function. But that could mean like to invoke another function because it's not necessarily its own. Let's go back over here and take a look here. So this is for create log streams, put log streams. I mean, this is for log streams. Streams. How about log? See, I'm not 100% sure about this. I mean, I like the idea of it, like the fact that you could quickly add permissions, but I don't really like how this is done because I can't exactly figure out what's going on here. I mean, they have like a VPC access policy, so that one technically is there. I don't know, I guess we can try it, but I'm going to just say I don't like it too much. So we'll go here. And we'll just try to guess best we can what we're getting here. So there is the VPC access policy. I can't remember what format this is supposed to look like. Like that. Okay. So we'll try this one for our VPC because we can just see what it generates out and then we'll know if it's junk or not. There's the Lambda invoke one. So we'll go back over to Lambda. Invoke. Try this one. Oh, I wonder if it tells us what's in it. Oh no, this is not what we want. This is for invoke function. Okay, so we can actually click through and see what they do. All right, I guess that kind of helps. It's not the best. Let's see VPC access. That looks like what we do need for this. The only thing is like it's saying for everything. It's not locking it down to just our VPC. So I don't know. From a security perspective, I said that I wanted to do better policies when we were doing this in CloudFormation. So I think that we should take our time and just write the policies properly. Let's not use this weird policy thing. I'd rather do the role. So we'll need a role generated out. What we can do here is bring these templates over. Okay, and I kind of just want to write this in ChatGPT so it's a bit faster. Write in CloudFormation, write a policy for the following. Okay. And I'll just keep adding to it. So we'll go here. It just saves us time rewriting it because I trust ChatGPT. I mean, I hope they would be able to handle this. We want to add this. Okay, add this to it. And it's going to just keep thinking there as it writes. We don't need full access to Dynamodb. It's a little bit overkill. Lambda invocation Dynamodb. We do need to invoke the function. But we gave it like full access. We don't need full access to Dynamodb. That's just like kind of overkill. So we'll go here. We'll say down below. Add this as well. And so that's going to just speed things up because it really is not fun writing these by hand and translating them. So if it's going to do some of the work for us, I'd rather do that. Go ahead and grab this over here. It did generate out a little bit more than I asked for, but we'll go take a look and see what we have. So I'll just close this out here and I'll scroll up. And so it's creating a Lambda group, which is fine. I mean, I like that it kept the same name, so that is fine. 14-day retention, that's fine as well. Log stream, we would need that as well, so that is true. Then we have the execution policy down below here. So I'm just carefully reading through this stuff. So, I mean, that's our account ID, and that's our region. So we can replace these and say AWS region. This would be AWS account ID. I believe that's what those are. It doesn't matter how much I've written for CloudFormation. I always forget, so we go double check. It's not important for you to remember. It's important that you know where to look to find the stuff. So AWS account ID, that all looks correct to me. That's fine. So we're just going to keep walking through this. Same thing down here for CA Central 1. AWS : region. AWS account ID. Do these need $signs in front of them? Probably. Again, I don't always remember this stuff, so it's kind of my fault. We need to do a sub on here, don't we? Or otherwise it's not going to work. So we'll do a sub on that. I think we do. That one seems fine. Create network interface. Probably we'd want that on everything because I don't know how you would specify just to its own. Invoke function. Probably. Also, it's invoking yourself. I don't know. The describe stream get records. Yeah, it seems fine. But what? Like we gave it full access, so it makes me think that there was something that we did that we weren't supposed to do. Let's go here. I just don't want to use the all one, right? So we're gonna go back over to here, and we don't need auto scaling. We might need alarm access. We don't need data pipeline. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on this one. I think that we'll leave it out. I mean, clearly we added this because maybe when we did it earlier, we were getting permissions issues, but I'd rather just leave it out and keep it simple for now. Let's go back over to our template. So we have our policy here, and here it's trying to attach this to the rule. Now we did this before and we made it inline, so let's go do that again. Probably was under cluster, I imagine, because we were setting up rules in that one, I think. So if we go here, let's go find where we set a rule. I believe they're in here. They could also be probably in the service as well. So we'll go down to service. And I'm just looking for that rule. Here it is. And so we'll grab some of this here. So I'm going to go to the top. And we'll just grab this. I'll paste that in here as such. And the part that's going to be different here is where we start getting policies. So we'll grab policies here. Still want that. The assume role is not ECS tasks, just so you know. We'll have to change that. Probably Lambda, I would think. Just change that. I'm just going to guess that that's what it's supposed to be. Crutter Lambda execution role, or like Crutter. Okay. We don't need these parts. Okay, and then here we're indenting. So we go indent. We don't need the roll in the bottom anymore. This is how I like to do it. I don't know. There's clearly a few different ways you can organize this stuff. We'll bring this in when we're indentation level. So there we go. So that is looking okay to me. We get rid of these spaces. We don't need to have those in place. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. It's kind of getting long, the name. I'm just going to shorten it. Okay, so this needs to be attached. So I'm going to copy this. I think it's an execution role. Whatever it is, it's a role, so we'll make sure we add it here. I imagine we'll want the ARN. It's usually what they always want. So we'll go down to our Lambda. Where are you, Lambda? Our serverless function. Maybe it's here. It's here. And we'll just say role. I'm going to assume it wants the ARN. So we'll go here and say get ATT. We'll paste that in. It'll just be like ARN. That's usually what it is. We should still take a look at some of the other options here because that is quite the light configuration. As you saw how many properties there are. So yeah, let's go back to this Crutter here. Did we put this in a VPC? We did. It's in a VPC. So we need to make sure we put this in a VPC. So that's definitely important. Why is it in a VPC? I forget. I mean, I remember that we did it for some reason, but I'm just trying to think here because this we have, because wouldn't it just write to Dynamodb again? Or does it update the database? I honestly don't remember. Let's go take a look at the code so I can kind of jog my memory here. And we'll go into our AWS directory, our Lambdas, because we have this Crutter messaging stream. And we're just doing DynamoDB here. So why did we put it in a VPC? Well, I mean, it's there for a reason. So I guess we should... 5432. That tells me that it's writing to Postgres. Are we writing to Postgres? Because if it is, we would have to then do that. So we'll go look here. Crutter messaging stream. DynamoDB. Yeah, this is all DynamoDB. Did I maybe click into the wrong one? This says Crutter messaging stream. Why is this in a VPC? I just don't understand why that's in a VPC. I don't understand why. Okay, let's go over to functions here because we do have the Crutter post confirmation. Now maybe this one needs to be in a VPC. So this one's in a VPC. That makes sense. Let's go over and take a look at our CRUD post confirmation. Yeah, so this one makes sense why it is in a VPC. And by the way, I guess we also have to make sure that we turn this into CloudFormation code. We just kind of forgot about it. I mean, it's still there. It's just that we didn't turn that into a template. So yeah, that's really interesting. The fact that that's in a VPC doesn't have to be in a VPC. So we're going to ignore that mistake. At least I think it's a mistake. And maybe what happened is we just copy pasted our code when we created the other one, and that's where we ran into that thing there. So I guess we could start at the top. Architecture set of architecture instruction set. ARM64 is pretty good. It should work. We could just switch it to ARM for fun. Let's do that for fun. We should get more comfortable using ARM. So we'll go up to this here, and we'll go here, and we will add ARM. So we'll go here and say ARM64. Get rid of this because that was useless. We'll paste that in there. We'll keep going down loose. Assume role policy document adds an assume role for the default role. I think we're fine for this. Auto publish alias. The name of the Lambda alias for more information. I mean, I do like using aliases. But if we don't have to, we'll leave it alone. This is just like for versioning. So whatever the default value, we'll let that be. Auto publish aliases on all properties. I don't know if I do it on all properties. That seems fine. So we'll just keep skipping this auto publish stuff. Code signing. Code signing is great if you want to make sure that your code hasn't been tampered. It's coming from the person you expect it to be coming from. We're not going to worry about that today. Code URI. So the functions code, Amazon S3 URI, path to local folder. Function code. This property only applies if the package type property is set to zip. Otherwise, it is ignored. The functions code, Amazon S3 URI path to local folder function code. So let me just think about that. I think the way we did it is we did zip here. Because notice you can do inline code, code URI, or zip. Inline code is actually the easiest. It really just depends on how much code we have. If we go over here to our code, it's not a lot. We could probably do inline or even a zip. Let's see here. If an Amazon S3 URI function code object is provided, the Amazon S3 object reference must be a valid Lambda deployment. Also, the other thing is that if we are using a SAM template, we're going to have to deploy using SAM, just so you know. I just remembered that. So our CloudFormation script is not going to be what we're using. I've done SAM templates in the past, so it's our opportunity to do something else. Of course, let's add more work to the pile. It was CloudFormation compatibility. The property is similar to code, property of Lambda function. The nested Amazon S3 properties are named differently. So I'm not exactly sure what we want to do for that one, so we'll come back to that. That one's actually a very important one because we do have to get our code into there somehow. Notice like it doesn't specify any code anywhere. So we'll just bring this down here for a moment, and this will be question mark for now because we do have to figure that out. We'll go down here, dead letter Q configures SNS or SQS queue where Lambda sends the events that it can't process. Yeah, dead letter Q would be pretty good, but I don't think I want to use one today. Deployment preference, this setting is to enable gradual Lambda deployments. We're just going to stick with whatever the default is, which is probably junk. We can put a description, don't need that. The environment variables, we might want to set those. Let's go take a look at what we are setting for this. We'll go over to environment variables. Do we have any? We do have some. So there is the Postgres username and secret in here. Is that really where they should be? That doesn't seem right to me. Also, which one is this? Okay, but you know what? When we do this, we probably shouldn't be setting these in here. They should be stored in Secrets Manager, and this should have permissions, or Secrets Manager, parameter store, and this should pull down because this is not secure because someone can go in here and just see the envars. So you really don't want to be doing this. I don't know why we did this. I guess it was just for convenience. But yeah, don't do that, okay? Again, this is our opportunity to fix these things. So we'll go over to the right one. And by the way, I should be going to Cruder streaming messages too, because that's the one that we actually did. The other one was by Baco. So Yeah, so this is the one that that I did, and I mean, it should be mostly the same. Yeah, the code's so small we can see it here, so we can definitely do it inline or keep it really simple. Oh, this is using Python 3.9. Oh, okay. So first of all, we'll switch this over. You know what? We'll make this a parameter because clearly this value is changing. So we'll go to the top here and we'll add a parameter here. So say, you know the routine by now, parameters. This is going to be runtime, Python runtime. Type will be string. And default will be Python 3.9. Okay, so that will be the default value there. And we will scroll on down here. Oh, right, so we could reference it. That's why we made this value here. So we're looking for that old one, the 3.8. And we'll just paste that in here as such. Okay. Oh yeah, the environment. So we need to set some environment variables. Whoops. Let's see what we are setting here. I mean, if we even have any. I don't even know if we do. We don't, so we don't actually have to set that. That's perfect. So we'll just take that out there. Unless there is something that we should be setting as nvars. But, you know, we can always fix these later. We'll go down, ephemeral storage. Don't care about that. Event, invoke config. I don't think we need to change that. Events. Specifies the events that trigger this function. I think we already have that here because we have it. Yep, so we don't have to worry about that. The batch size is different. This is 100. We might want to do 1. I know that boot campers were saying like we were only handling one message and they had to do some code there. I don't know where that is, but some people said that they did get more than one message in, but we did set our batch size to 1. I don't know if we were doing trim horizon. I'm not sure if we can even figure that out. Let's go over to Dynamodb and look at that settings there. So go into the tables, we'll click into here. And we'll go to additional settings. I'm looking for, I think it's like when you create the trigger. Yeah, but it doesn't say, like turn on trigger, specify whether the trigger should be activated when you create it. It doesn't say any option for this thing, the starting position. And so that's something like where I say, you know, sometimes the UI does not expose all the options to you. I guess we could take a look and see what it is. If we go down to event sources, it might be kind of hard to find this, but we'll see if we can find it. It is Dynamodb. I think that is the setting. Dynamodb, yeah. So we'll go here. And then it's starting position. The position in a stream from which to start reading. Specify a time from which to start reading records. Read only new records. Process all available records. I don't know what we want here. I mean, it could be a few different things. I'm going to go here and I'm going to go with latest. I don't know what to do here. I don't have Kirk to help me. So, I mean, I could go ask him, but I don't know. So that might be something, you know, like, is this the right value to do? Does our Lambda handle more than one record? Okay, I'm just writing those in as notes, and I'll come back to that, and we will remember that kind of stuff. We'll keep going down the list here. File system configs. This is where we can attach EFS. We don't need to do that. Function name. It's nice to have a easily readable function. I don't know if we tear it down, we spin it back up, if it will be easy for us to work with. if we generate, it'll probably be based on this name, so I'm not too worried about naming it. Function URL config. So the object that describes a function URL is an HTTPS endpoint that you can use to invoke your function. I wonder if that's the new functionality where you can, yeah, it's an endpoint. So that's where if you didn't have API gateway, you can invoke it. We don't need that today. Handlers, we said we'd talk about that later. Image config, the object used to configure Lambda configuration image setting. This is if we're using our own custom images, I believe. And this would be the image UI if you're using ECR. I actually really do like using images from ECR for Lambda functions. But today, like in this course, we've been keeping it very simple because our functions are very simple. But once you start building more complex apps, this becomes like the go-to of how to do it. It's not that hard. Inline code, the Lambda function code that is written directly into the template. This property only applies for package type property is set to zip. So, I mean, that's one way that we can do it. Then we can specify our layers. We don't have to do that. We have our memory size. I think that's something we will want to specify. So we'll go memory size here. We'll just say memory size and ref it. Go to the top here, and we will specify that as a parameter. I don't know what this should be. Let's go take a look at what we already have for our Lambda. We didn't do any right sizing with our Lambdas. You can actually tune them, power tune them. No, I'm talking about ML stuff now. But you can you can tune your Lambda or right size it so that it gets the best performance. Is it Lambda Power Tuner? Lambda Power Tuner. Yeah, it's Lambda power tuning. So that's something that where like the idea is you choose the right memory versus the right the two values you can set, compute and memory, or whatever it is, memory and execution time. And the idea is you figure out where it's most optimal. So here, like here, this is the fastest execution, but these are the lower costs. So you're trying to figure out where you get the best trade-off, right? So they have a tool that will help you do that. We're not doing that today. It's not that hard to do. But I just want to keep pace here. Package type, the deployment package type of the Lambda. So if this property is set to zip, then either code URI or code inline code. And I definitely know we're going to be using package type of this. So we'll go down here, whoops, and we'll say zip. The question is are we going to do inline or code URI? It really just depends on how we can reference it. I just can't remember. It's been a while. So it's either going to be this or this, okay? We'll have to decide. Because one, you have to put in a bucket, I think, or I might be able to zip it up locally. We'll see. Permissions boundary, we don't need that. Policies, we didn't do that. We did role instead. Provision concurrency config. Provision concurrency, basically, it's like where you run your Lambda all the time. It's kind of like... so it's where it pre-warms your Lambda, so it's like basically you have dedicated compute. It's kind of like serverless functions, like Fargate, where once it's running, it's always running. But the idea is to get rid of the cost of cold starts, but we don't care about that. Reserve concurrent executions, the maximum number of concurrent executions that you want to reserve for the function. I think that has to do with concurrency. Again, they're up there. We did the role. Says the ARN of the IAM role, so we got that right from before, so that's good. Role path, the path to the function's IAM execution role. So it is an execution role, so we named it correctly. We don't need to specify a path, we have the ARN. Runtime, so we specified this. And this would only be if you did zip, because if you were doing an image, the runtime would be part of the image, right? Runtime management configuration. Configure runtime management options for the Lambda functions, such as runtime environment updates, rollback behavior, additionals. I don't think there's anything we want to set there. Snap start. This is something new. I don't know if it's out for Python yet, but it is out for Java. And the idea is that it has caching so that your Lambdas start so much faster. And so this thing is kind of revolutionary, but I don't know what the support is, and I haven't used it yet. So we'll go snap start Lambda AWS. So I think it's only for Java right now. But we might get it for other ones. I don't know if they can only do it for Java or if they can do it for other languages, but we kind of think that there might be other ones. Timeout is something we'll definitely want to do. The default is 3, so we'll just explicitly set it here so we know. And we'll go here and say timeout. Type. I'm going to assume it's a number, default 3, but we'll actually go take a look at what our actual value is for this. It's probably under configuration, general configuration. Timeout is 3 seconds at the default. This one's at 128 for this, so we'll set this to be 128 as well. We'll reference our timeout here. And we'll go back here. The string that specifies the function's X-ray tracing mode. Tracing's great, but you know how I feel about X-ray. It's just a lot of work. So I'm not going to do that right now or touch that. Whatever the default is will be what it is. Version description, no. VPC config, we don't need VPC config. So yeah, it looks like our Lambda is mostly specified. The only thing that we have not done is the specified like the zip code. So we have URI, so that would be where you have it in a bucket. And I kind of remember that it's able, like there's inline code, which is nice. But I kind of remember that there was a way for Sam to upload it for you for zip. It's really weird. I can't remember this. I did so much of this before, but I like it's good that it goes to S3, but I just don't want to. I want it to be automated, so we'll have to figure that out with Sam. Okay, but I'll just be back here in a moment. I just want to eat something. I'm kind of hungry, and then we'll just continue on here for the time being. I'm just going to do WIP. I'll say Dynamodb work in progress. But it's kind of cool that we get to use Sam. So yeah, more stuff that we're doing. See you back in a moment, okay? All right, let's continue on there. So I had some oatmeal for my lunch. But the thing that we're trying to figure out is the code URI or the inline URI. So I need some kind of example of this. So let's go take a look at Sam, because Sam is something that we'll go ahead and need to install. I do have... I think installation instructions for this. If I go to teacher seat here, which is the organization, and then I go and search here and we say git pod. And we go into repos here. Here in AWS, I should have one for Sam. There it is right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring over Sam because we are going to need AWS Sam, or we are going to use AWS Sam. Otherwise, we'd have to change this one to fully use CloudFormation, and it's really not fun to do. So let's just stick with Sam for this case. And we're going to go into our Git pod YAML. We always like adding things to Git pod. And then up here, we're going to go ahead and add Sam. So we'll go ahead and do that. And so that is going to install the SAM CLI for us. I'm just going to go ahead and save that. Install SAM CLI. And what I'll do, just I don't really want to restart my environment. And also it's great to run these manually to make sure they work. But I'm going to go ahead and, well, first of all, this definitely is not a line that should be in here. So I'll take that out. I guess my that template needs some updating. But we want to install the SAM CLI. As our first step, we'll grab and unzip it. And if you aren't comfortable doing it this way, you can always I didn't mean to put all that stuff there, but you can always go to the SAM CLI instructions and see if they're up to date. I'm pretty sure this one's correct. I'm just going to go ahead and remove that directory. I meant to go up a directory, which I didn't do, but we'll just delete this directory. So we'll just say RF on that, clear, and now we'll just type in. Well, that is the SAM CLI, that's the zip, so I want to delete that as well. I was supposed to do CD in the beginning there, I didn't do that, so just say discard changes here, delete file. So if we go here, we can type in SAM, and it's showing up. We can do SAM version, because sometimes what I find with the SAM CLI is that you can run into issues with it. If you have an older version, it'll just give you like random things failing because there's been API changes, but it doesn't indicate to you that's the issue. But let's go look up the SAM CLI and see what it says. So here, this is 1.58. So I don't know what version we are supposed to be on, but it seems like this is quite new. I just don't know if there's a version 2 SAM. I don't think there is. So we do have a lot of options here for using the SAM CLI. Oh, look, docs new stuff. Okay, so docs is new. Launch database CLI documentation in the browser. I like that. Create a SAM application. I mean, we don't necessarily need to create a SAM app. That is where you basically create reusable stacks. So it's something that is interesting. I don't think I want to do that. Develop your app. So build, local, validate, sync. Build your AWS serverless function. So that sounds about right. So let's type in SAM docs and see if it brings us to the docs here. Oh, it's right in line. That's kind of cool. I thought it was just going to open up the web browser. You know, I don't know. I think like this is only good if you don't have an internet connection. I feel like if you have an internet connection, you don't really need that, but it's cute that they did that. So what I'm looking for is the build step. So somewhere here, we have building. So build your serverless application invokes taking your AWS SAM template, application code, and application language specific files. You know, I have code for this laying around, so just give me a second. I'm gonna go find my SAM code, and then we can kind of copy paste from there to make this a bit easier, okay? All right, so I found my older repository here, and this is where I was playing, as you can see, it's 2 years old, but SAM hasn't changed too much. But I did this in all variations, so I had ones with zips and images and stuff. This is a private repo, so you aren't gonna get access to it. But we are going to pull things out of it. So I think Ruby was one of the earlier ones that I had, but I think for this, we were using Python. So let's take a look here. And I'm going to go and just take a look at, this is using a Docker file. So we could use a Docker file. That is one way of doing it. Let's go take a look here at our bin scripts. So you can see I have a lot of scripts in here. So I got build, the build step. So that would run SAM build, and it's using the use container flag, template file, base directory. So I don't really want to I mean, it's great to do images, but in this case, I don't want to do that. So I do believe that I did this with Ruby one time. So let's go see if this one is using the older way of doing it. Not older way, but different way. This one says container as well. So I know that I've done this using not containers. Go back a bit here. Maybe it's in the playground. And this is container, HTTP, raw, test. Let's go look here. Bin, build. Does this use containers or no? Just giving this a second to load. I'm not sure why it's having such a hard time. These all use containers. So let me just go find one that doesn't use containers, okay? All right, so I know at one point I like made this and I iterated over time, but it seems to be that whatever I did, I might have undone, because these are all using use container now. So it's unfortunate that I lost that, but that's okay because we can figure it out again because I have confidence in my ability to do that. So let's just go type in SAM because there are a few commands that we care about. We have build, there's package and deploy. Local, so you can run it locally. These kind of work. They don't always work as expected. It's been a while since I did it. You can validate your SAM template, which is great. But let's go dig into the build command. So we need to start writing this somewhere. And so I'm just going to go here and go to our DDB deploy. And all this kind of stuff is kind of useless. So we'll go here and just clear this out for the time being. I'm just going to type in SAM build. And we want to find out all the flags for SAM build. So what we'll do is we'll look for this build command. So somewhere in here, there should be a reference. Let's go here to the CLI. And here we go. So we have SAM build, and this should tell us all the arguments that are available for it. So I'm going to go above here, and this is going to be SAM build. We'll probably have to do a SAM package. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab these so we can click through to them later. We'll go and find that here, SAM package. Okay. And then we might have a SAM init. Let's go take a look at SAM init. Options for a serverless application model. I don't know if we need this. This might be good for setting up initially, but I don't think that this is something we need to do. What's cool is you can set up pipelines in here as well. I've never used that, but it is something that's available there. There's sync and publish. Sync is sync local application station changes to cloud, and that's fine. But we probably just want the publish. So, and there's deploy. I'm not sure if we need the publish, but we definitely need the deploy for sure. So I'm going to go up here. Okay. We'll say SAM deploy. So let's go take a look at build and just read through and figure out what flags we need. So we have the name of the hook that is used to extend SAM CLI functionality. No, we're not doing that. It's interesting. I don't even know what that is anymore. They've clearly made some changes here. The path to a directory where the built artifacts are stored. This directory contains this directory and all its contents are removed with this option. So we do need a build artifact for sure. Resolves relative paths to the functions or layer code with respect to this directory. Okay. And you know what? Maybe this is where we could use ChatGPT because it's so hard to figure out these options. So using the SAM build command, deploy, use the SAM build command. Okay, and we'll see what happens. This command will build SAM applications and create a deploy. Yeah, but there's more to it than that. It's not just that. I was hoping that it would do more, but I guess we could tell it more. Well, I guess the thing is that maybe it would build if it's in the local place, because there might be some default places where they expect code to be. But let's see here. Use container, nope, container, build, image text, the URL, container image, nope, the manifest. For example, package JSON to use instead of the default. No, the path or file name of the SAM template. So that might be something we want to do. Parameter overrides. Config. Okay, so I'm thinking probably what we need is we probably need the template. So I'm just going to grab, it's either template file or template path. The default is template.yaml or YAML. So nice to see that you can support both. Before there was only one, and I thought it was YML, which is kind of annoying. So that's something we're going to want to override for sure. So go ahead and bring this over in here as such. Okay, I'm just going to put there. And so we want to have that in there. I'm not sure why there's template file and just template. It's a little bit confusing to me, but that's fine. So that will be where that goes. Parameter overrides is probably something we'll want to do. So I'm going to bring that over here and paste that in as well. We can we use SAM config templates for that, so we're not going to use our CFN toml for that. The name of the resource to exclude, no. The profile, no. We want to explicitly set this just so it uses the correct region. So we'll do this and do AWS default region as that. I really wish I just had the code we could copy paste in, because I've definitely done it multiple times before. We have the path to the directory where the built artifact is stored. We might need to set that. So let's grab the more explicit one here. Then we have resolves relevant paths to functions or layers source code with respect to this directory. Use this option if you want to change how relative paths to source code folder are resolved. By default, the relative paths are resolved with respect to the SAM template's location. So that might be something else that we want to change as well. Okay. So this is where the artifacts are stored. So artifacts are things that get generated out. So that is interesting. Okay, so let's go take a look here at the package. Packages as AWS SAM. This creates a zip for your file, so your code and dependencies, and uploads the file to S3. So this is what I was talking about, where it can upload them. So I'm not 100% sure what we need to do for SAM build, but let's go ahead and just type it in, SAM build. I don't know why I can't seem to remember today. And here's saying The template is not found, so that's totally fine. So what I'm going to do is for this, we'll provide the path. I mean, really, we want to run the bin script here. So this is under bin cnf ddb deploy, and this is over here in here. So it's literally a single file here. So we'll have to make a new folder here, create a new folder. And this is going to be Crutter messaging stream. And then what we'll do is we'll drag this in here. We'll say move. And we want this to be named whatever it's supposed to be. So we'll go over back to our Lambda. And we'll just click around here for a little bit. This one's called Lambda function pi. So we'll just rename that to be Lambda function pi. Okay. And now that that's been renamed, that's good. The next thing we need to do is to get this absolute path. I wonder if we could just drag it in here. Yes, we can. That's nice when you can do that. We'll just copy that. And then we'll go back over here. I'm just going to make this an environment variable. So we'll paste this. And this wants, there's the build directory, but then there's the base directory, right? So we wanted this for, I think, the build. Let's go back over here and look at the documentation again. The path to a directory where the build artifacts are stored. The resolves relative path to the functions or layers source code with respect to this directory. So, you know, I would think that these would all both be the same, maybe. So right now we'll just say like function folder here. And I'll just put this in quotations, and we'll just take this part off because we don't need it. I don't know if we need the trailing one. I'm just going to take that off. And we'll go down below here, and we'll just say $, func folder. We can also say just dir. That might be func dir. Func dir. I think SAM's great. It's just hard to find examples online. And I remember, I went through this and started using mine for many years, but that's the issue where if you forget this, you have to start from scratch. Right, so in this case, we want to comment out these other ones here for a second. But like we need an artifact, so you'd think that you'd have to upload the artifact first before you could do anything else, but we'll just try this first. Clear, so we have bin, ddb, oh, sorry, CFN. This will be DDB. Oh, because we haven't done chmod on that yet. So we'll do that, chmod on it. DDB. And we'll say bin, CFN, DDB, deploy. Template file not found. Oh yeah, we never set that yet. So the next thing we need to set is the actual template path. So that one lives in this location. And actually, we can drag out this exact file here. Okay. Just looking for this here. So template path. I don't know if it needs the exact file or just the path to it, because there was that template path, or file, we can't tell what the difference is here. So we'll do that. We do want parameter overrides. We don't need it just yet, so we'll just comment that out for now. We should probably specify where the SAM config toml will be. It usually will look relative to where it is. And we have actually named it config toml. That's not the default name. It's SAM config toml. I think what we can do here is just do config. It'll just be config path. Here is such. And then we can just bring this down here, config path. And we'll say config toml. But just understand that this is not our CFN toml. This is the SAM config toml. They look very similar. I designed them to be similar. And the reason why was because I was using SAM a lot. And I liked the SAM config toml, but we didn't have it in regular CloudFormation. And so basically, that's kind of what I've done, is brought that back in some sense. So that's where that inspiration actually came from. So now that that is there, let's go ahead and run and see if it complains. Again, I'm not expecting anything to work here. I'm just trying to run it to learn things as we go here. No such option as config, so we have env or file. So we'll go here and change this to file because that's what it's supposed to be. We'll hit up again. And it says error reading configuration version key is not present or not recognized. So it's talking about the configuration file for config toml, sam config toml, of course. And so we need an example one. I might have some here, or they might not be in here because they could contain sensitive information. And so I might have not stored them in this repository. Maybe, and I might not even have examples one because this is not a public facing repo. So we'll go back over the code here and we'll see if I can find a SAM config toml. I don't know if we'll find one here. Oh, we do have example, perfect. And so you have to specify the version at the top. I don't know what versions of SAM there is. So SAM versions, AWS template or toml file. Sometimes these versions never change. Like, see, this is still 0.1, so I don't think there's a 0.2. So I'm just going to stick with that, and we'll go back over to here. And so you'll have to write this out manually, obviously, but we'll grab this toml version. But the way this file works is you have these default ones, and some are for package, some are for deploy. So we could bring these in here, and I'll just do this to do the region. Okay. And so we'll bring this down here. And this doesn't exactly work the same way as our toml file. This one, like, you have to do inline stuff like this, which is kind of annoying. I did not want that for mine, so I did it slightly different. I'm gonna go ahead and paste this in here and here. Mine's CA Central 1, you are wherever you're supposed to be. I know we set it already, but we can set it here as well. You know, so we don't actually have to set it here. We can just take that out if we want. Okay. And so you could do this for build as well and all that kind of stuff. So here I could probably go here and say like build, right? This will probably work. Let's go ahead and give that a try and see if it complains less. So we're seeing less complaining. So it says built artifacts in AWS Lambda CRUD stream. And it says built template. So it seems like it's building it here. Let's go take a look and see if that's the case. So this is AWS Lambdas. Here. There is a build.toml, I guess, being created. Let's go take a look at that. This file is auto-generated here. So that's kind of interesting that it placed it there. I don't know why it did that. Let's go ahead and just take a look at what was added. So yeah, that build toml was definitely added there. I'm going to go ahead and just delete that, discard that change. I think it's odd that it put it there, considering we said the folder's here. Well, if I put a /, I wonder if that would correct that issue. Okay, for whatever reason, it's dropping the build toml here. I don't know why it's doing that. That's kind of annoying. But also want to see if like there's any kind of things I should be ignoring here in the git ignore. So we'll go take a look here. And yeah, it looks like we should be ignoring build tomls and then the AWS SAM directory. So we'll take out this. We'll put this in our git ignore. Or yeah, git ignore here. I'm going to be explicit. I'm going to just say config.toml. Okay, because there are one, or sorry, build.toml, because there are ones that we do want to keep around because they don't contain sensitive data, but they'll make things a bit easier for us here. We'll go here, we'll give this a refresh. And so I definitely want, yeah, so that thing's gone, but it is still being generated. So now we don't have to worry about it being dumped here. Why it's dumping there, I have no idea, because you think it would dump in this folder. So unless I made some kind of configuration mistake here, I don't know. But here it says built artifacts at AWS Lambda CRUD messages. Let's go take a look at that hidden directory if it did create it. Because sometimes you'll have a .aws sam directory. I'm not seeing it anywhere here. Yeah, I don't see it. So maybe we're not there yet. So validate the SAM template, invoke the function. I think it's just saying what we can do next. All right, but I guess it didn't build any artifacts. I don't I don't understand what's going on. All right, well, that's fine. So what we'll do next is we'll look at the package. Okay. So this would be here. And we'll go read here and take a look at our options. So we have template file, S3 bucket, S3 prefix. If we don't specify one, I think that it will just randomly create one for us. The name of the Amazon S3 bucket where this command uploads your CloudFormation templates. If your template is larger than this, etc., etc., etc. I think we made a bucket for S3, so that's something that we can already specify. Because what it will do is zip it and package it for us, and that's something we want to do. Yeah, I think ours was called like CFN artifacts. I don't know if we set that as an envar. Let me go take a look here. No, I don't think we did. But your bucket's going to be different from my name. I know we can find this in our config tomls for our other stuff. So if I go into here, or CFN, any of these other ones. Yeah, it's called this. And I'm going to put it in the same place. I think that's probably okay. I don't think it will conflict with anything. Just going to go up here. Bucket name. Or artifact bucket, just in case we have another one. And so we'll go down below here, and I'm just going to specify that as our bucket. Yeah, so just give me 2 seconds, okay? All right, sorry, I'm back now. So there's that prefix added to the artifact's name when they are uploaded. I don't think we need a prefix here. Image repository, there is no image. KMS KI key, we're not doing that. You can do signing, which is actually good to thwart any kind of manipulation of stuff. We're not doing that right now. Output template file, the path to the file where the command writes the package template. If you don't specify path, the command writes the template to standard output. I think that's okay for now. Output JSON for CloudFormation template, YAML's default. I'm going to stick with the YAML, thank you. Resolve S3 automatically creates an S3 bucket to use for packaging. If you specify both S3 bucket or resolve S3, then it will result in an error. I kind of prefer to create my bucket because then we could end up with a lot of buckets, and I don't like that. Force upload, override existing files in S3, specify the flag to upload artifacts even if they match existing artifacts. I don't know if we want to do that right now, but we'll see. I'm hoping it picks up our AWS credentials. It might not. Sometimes these CLIs are not as robust, like AWS Amplify ran into issues with that, but we'll find out here. The path to the config file, so we already know how to do that, so we can set that. No progress bar. No, we want a progress bar. That's fun to have. So really, there's not a whole lot of options to set here. We have template file, S3 bucket, and config file. So let's go back and do that. We'll go here. Okay. I think it's a template file, right? It wasn't template for some reason. For consistency, I kind of want to just match these. I know the other one, like, we'll see if it messes things up, but I'm going to just do template file because that is what that is. And we'll see what happens there. So the idea is it should take the stuff and zip it and do what we want it to do. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. I'm going to paste it in here. And we'll see if it works. It says option requires an argument. Yeah, that's what right here, right? Requires an argument. We have it. Maybe because there's a double space. Hold on here. Oh, you know what? It's because we're not running the script. Sorry. So we'll go ahead here and we'll do a deploy. So it'll do the build, which is fine. And now this is the package. Remember, it said it would write to standard out, so that's why it's printing out here, because we didn't tell it to dump the content somewhere. We might want to place this somewhere like in a temp directory to make our lives a bit easier. It's up to us if we want to do that. But you can see this is what came over here. If you're worried about like if your template is working correctly, we could also validate it as well. But let's go over and see if it actually uploaded this. I didn't see a progress bar. I didn't see an error. Built succeeded. Okay. Outputted it to stream. So let's go take a look if it actually uploaded. We didn't see a progress bar, but maybe it was just really fast. We'll go over to S3. And in here, we are looking for, I like how Harlan's still here. We're looking for our CFN artifacts, or whatever the name of your bucket is. I'm trying to find out if something was just uploaded today. So what is today? Today for me is May 10th. So I'm going to go last modified here. The last thing uploaded is May 6th. So I don't think it's dropping it here in the bucket. Okay. I can give this a refresh. No. So I don't think the package did what it said it was going to do. Now we could break these up into separate bin scripts to make it a little bit easier to work with. But yeah, I'm not sure why that didn't work. I kind of don't want the output here. It's kind of in the way. So I'm going to go back to the build. And maybe we can switch where the output is. It said ST out, right? ST out? No, it wasn't that one. Out. The path to the file where the command writes the package template. I wonder if I set these ever in my other ones. Probably not, because they'd have to be using that format in order to do it. I don't think I'm using those. But we can take a look here. Package. Oh, it looks like I do specify a path. Here it's doing /.aws build package YAML. What's interesting is that we haven't seen these builds go anywhere. So that to me is a bit confusing. .aws build template path. Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure what's going on there. What if we go ahead and we comment out the build directory? I just want to see if that would end up building in .aws. So, oh yeah, so now it's putting it in here. So that's what I think I would prefer. I'd rather it go here. So we don't really need to override the build path, okay? Now if we go into here, this is starting to look more normal to me. We go into the build. Here we can see we have our template. So now it is going where we want it to be, okay? And so we can go back over to this one and just take a look at what we had configured for this one. So in here I set a, oh, sorry, we'll go back to the package, sorry. And so in here, I can see that I specify the template path and the output template path as these ones. I'm just going to bring these over and modify them for our package. Okay. Output template path. And these are absolute paths, so I'm just going to grab that there. I know we can use, if you want to refactor this and make this more streamlined, you can. I'm just trying to make it easy to work with, so I'm using absolute paths. But if I was spending more time, I'd probably clean these up a bit. Okay, so I believe that's where those are. We don't want that double slash there. That's going to cause an issue. And so now we have template path and output template path. Let's take a look here where these are being used. Right, so template path, output template path. That makes sense. It's called file or just, yeah, it was. Okay, and so we'll go here. You'll notice here, like I'm doing it this way. We might have ran into some issues where these didn't read properly, and so I might have had to do that prior. I'm not sure if we'll have that issue while working with this now, but we'll find out as we work through it, okay? I did do a prefix, and I guess a prefix is okay if you want to do one. Yeah, let's just do one for fun. Let's see what happens. I don't know if that will create a folder or just name it with the prefix, because if it does that, it's not very useful for me. So we'll just say this is DDB. I mean, this is not just the message stream. This is also the DynamoDB stuff. So maybe we will just name it DDB because it's also creating the table at the same time. And we'll go ahead and try this again. See if we get any errors. Successfully package artifacts and wrote output template files, execute the following command to deploy. So it shows us the next command that we can fill in to do it. Notice that now we have our package YAML, and I know that they look quite similar, but sometimes there's some differences here, but effectively these are the same thing, okay? We'll go down here to SAM deploy, and we have our template file that we want. So this will be very similar. We're just going to bring this down. It's going to be, packaged template file, and that will just be packaged. And so then this one will just be this one here. Go ahead and paste that. Didn't paste. We'll go ahead and paste that again. And so that's there like that. Then we have our stack name. And we're going to follow pattern. So, well, actually, I think we can name the stack in the config toml. And we'll probably want to specify the config file here. So I'm just going to go back here and take a look at some of my older code and how I did it. Look at the deploy. And so here, okay, I put stack name right in there. If we want to skip the change set, we can put that in there if we want to. We have like the tags in here, like the groups. So that looks pretty good to me. I think I'll bring over some of these. So I definitely want the tags. Bring these over here. So CRUDder DDB. We'll do that. We'll just give this, because half the time we always have to have this. So let's just put that in there anyway to have IM access to do stuff. This is going to be CRUDder DDB. Just kind of follow the naming convention we've been doing before. And it's the stack name. We'll have to put that there. And then we need the config file here, so we'll bring that in as well. If we needed to override anything, we could put that in there. What kind of stuff we'd have to override, I don't know at this point. But well, it would be like the memory size or stuff like that. But we set defaults, so there's nothing that we actually have to pass in here. So that's looking pretty good so far. I'm going to go over here. I'm just going to commit the stuff. So SAM templates, just to make sure we're not committing anything we don't need before we do anything else. So this looks okay. Yep. But yeah, you'll find that sometimes you'll be moving between CloudFormation and SAM. If you're using obviously CDK, then it's more the same thing. We could do this not using SAM at all, but then you don't get to use the macros. So it's just kind of like a trade-off. But, for learning purposes, in this bootcamp, you learned CloudFormation, SAM, and CDK. That's pretty impressive. The only thing we didn't do was Terraform, but that's for the Terraform bootcamp. I don't want to overload you with too many IAC tools. What we'll do is go ahead and do DDB deploy. So we'll hit enter here. And it's initiating deployment. So it's waiting for a change set. So what we'll do is make our way over to CloudFormation, but we do have a problem. Failed to create change set for expression status. We match expected path failed. Transform failed with invalid serverless application specification document. Number of errors found. Resources with process Dynamodb is invalid. Invalid package type zip. Okay, so it's telling me that for our template file, and maybe we could be validating our template. I don't know what it would do, but we could try SAM validate. Sure if we get like help here. No, it doesn't tell us how to use. Does it tell us how to use this one? Yeah, it does. Okay, so we could have been doing that the entire time, doing this to find out the stuff. But for the validate, we just want to point to the template. So I'm going to go here and then just point to it. So this would be AWS, CFN, DDB, template. Oh, we don't want the help in here. And so let's see if it will take it with just this. Okay, and so I think this is something that would be useful for us to have in our actual here. So before we run anything, we should probably do a SAM validate. It's possible that this thing could sometimes lie to us and not actually like superficially error out, and we might want to ignore some of those errors. Sometimes that happens, but I think for this it's going to be okay. So we'll go ahead and paste. Come on, just copy and paste it. This is crazy. Go ahead and right-click paste. It's not taking it. I guess I'll have to type it manually. You know, I can avoid all these copy paste issues if we just go down here and or wherever it is and launch this in over here into my local VS Code. I just don't do that ever. Maybe one day I'll do that, but we'll go here and we'll see if this works. So now we'll always validate it before it runs. Because we have this -e, it will stop at that one. It's not going to run the next steps. So we can take a look here. So it says invalid package type zip. So it doesn't like that. So we'll have to go investigate that. We'll make our way back over to our template file, which is over, not here, but I mean, that one gets generated out, but over here. And so it's saying the package type can't be zip. So, and we also have these question marks in here. I don't think we're supposed to have those. Yeah, why do we still have those? Didn't we decide on something? That, or maybe we don't have to specify it and it rewrites the template for it. So that's what I can't remember is how that works, because this needs to point to code, but it's going to, I remember it rewrites it, and that's the one thing that we're looking for. So let's go back over to this here. So I'll just click through, hold control and do that. So we go down here, and this says the functions code for the Amazon S3 URI path to the local folder or function code object. This applies for package type zip. Otherwise, it's ignored. So probably it doesn't like that I did this in all caps. You think this would be case insensitive, but apparently not. So maybe that's our issue. The other thing is that we didn't set code URI. And so I want to reference local code. So I should be able to do that somehow. I wonder if anywhere in this template, this one here, if I have code URI set. Because if I can find that, then that's the thing that we're looking for. So what I'm going to do, just refresh this. I'm going to open this up in Gitpod. I'm going to see if I can search all the files. There might be a way to search files in GitHub. I don't know. I haven't tried. But we'll open this up and we'll give it a go here. So I'll be back in a second when this second environment has launched, okay? All right, so our environment has more or less launched here. And what I'm going to do is search. Where's our find? Find in files, code, URI. Okay, and so in here you see period, 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 period. So let's go take a look here. And it's showing period, but is that one that's generated out, or is that one that is our template? It is. So we have this one and it shows period, and it's on zip. So even though it says use container, it's clearly configured for this structure. So what I want to know is, what is this pointing to? So we'll go over here to the template, and it says period, but it must be doing something by default. So like we have a folder here called function. How does it know that it's in the function folder? It must default to that. Period must default to function folder. I just remember there's like those kind of things in SAM, as I was trying to use the defaults as intelligently as I can, and I think that's what it's doing. So I think the code URI needs to point to the folder, and if it's period, it would probably pick up function by default. At least that's what I think. So let's go back over to the documentation here. Code URI. The function's code to an Amazon S3 URI or path to local folder or function code object. It's a function code object. Okay, so anyway, let's try period and see what happens. Like, what's the worst that can happen if we try that? So we run this. Architecture should be listed of length of 1. What does that mean? Maybe this is supposed to be a list and not a single value. Oh, it is a list. Okay. Maybe that will improve that. Okay, requirements txt not found, continuing to build without dependencies. Binary validation failed. Search for Python in the following location, which did not satisfy the constraints for runtime 3.9. Do you have for runtime 3.9 on your path? So I guess this is one advantage of using containers, is that if you use containers, it's going to build with that. So maybe we are using, maybe it is doing that, but it's just using a container to build it. I didn't think about that. So maybe it is using it the old way. And that was my confusion there. So maybe we'll go back here to the Ruby one. And so if we open up this template, does it use zip? It does. Okay. And we do have also X-ray in there. So if we wanted to turn on X-ray, we can see how simple it is to do that. But yeah, so what I'm thinking here is that we do want to use containers. Because if we use containers, it will build with that, and then we don't have to have the same version of Python, because it's looking for the version of Python we have on here. So if we go down here and we say Python version, this is 3.11. There's no 3.11 runtime for Lambda, right? It's going to be, I think the latest we saw was 3.9. So what we can do is, I guess we can specify that Docker file and then say use containers. So that's probably why we had to do that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's building an image runtime for us. It just means it's using containers to do the build, is what I'm thinking. So what we'll do is go over to bin, and we'll go back to build. And down below here, we have use container. So we'll do that. We'll do use container. I'll make sure that flag still exists. So we'll go back to SAM build. If your function depends on packages that natively compile dependencies, use this option to build your function Lambda inside a Docker container. Okay, so I like that option. Now the question is, do we need to specify the Docker file? I don't know. So we'll go up here. Okay, so use container is for building the Lambda in a container. It does not mean we're using a custom image container for running. Oh, sorry. It's still using the runtimes, and it's not a custom runtime. Okay, and I think that's the thing that I want to put there, just so, because that seems to be something that I forgot about, and so I just want to write that to myself and everybody else that we are still using zip. It's just that that case is there. So then the question is, would it automatically just grab it and build it, or do we have to do something special? Let's find out. Template file not found at that directory. So when we did the period, so it's trying to look relative to the path here. So what we could do here, if that's period, then this is going to be in AWS, CFN. It's where we ran it. So if we ran the top directory, that's how it knows. So this is for, yeah, for the CloudFormation template, not necessarily the Lambda. Wait. No, hold on a second. I was thinking this is for the Lambda code. That's not right. So let me just think here for a second. So the template is a valid template. This is according to the base template validation. And it says template file not found at workspace AWS CRUD 2023 template YAML. So I'm not sure where this is airing out on, if it's the build or the package. So what I'm going to do is do a couple echoes. Okay, so let's say build and then package, just so we can see where this is happening. Oops, deploy. Okay. And we'll hit up again. Build. Okay, so it's failing on the build step. It didn't fail before, but we didn't have code URI specified before. So that's interesting. So let me think about it, okay? I mean, we did change template file, and then it was template before. Maybe if we change it back, it'll it'll just fix its issue. I don't know. I can't really tell what this error is saying. Sometimes these things are a bit cryptic, eh? So it's still saying template file not found at this location. That is very confusing because I wonder if it's these comments that's messing it up. Let's take these comments and we'll just put the comment up here about use container. Maybe that's its issue. There we go. Okay, so yeah, those comments were the issue. Wasn't super clear to me, but I guess that makes sense. That you can't just put comments in the middle of a command. I was hoping you could, but you can't. So what it's doing here is it's actually building against the Docker container. So it's going to download the Docker runtime by AWS like a container. I don't know if we'd be able to see it over here on the left-hand side. I don't know if it would show up. But right now it's downloading it. So this could take a little bit of time. It's kind of large. This is only kind of the disadvantage of working with this in Gitpod because you have to wait a long time for it to download. Yeah, there it is. So it's there. And then it's going to run within that. Okay. But yeah, if we had Python 3.9 installed locally, then we could skip this step. But it is better practice to do it this way because then you have the exact same kind of runtime that you're building it that it'll be against when you actually deploy it to. So this is going to take a little bit of time, so I'm just going to wait here. I'm hoping that when we do this in subsequent builds, it'll be faster because it doesn't have to download it, doesn't have to do as much stuff, but we'll give it a bit of time here, see if it errors out, okay? All right, so I actually took another call and did a bunch of stuff, came back, and it's still in mounting, so I'm not sure why it's taking so darn long here. It clearly downloaded the image or was building it, but why it's doing this, I don't know. So what I'm going to do is doing the build. I'm going to try to stop this here. And we're going to hit up and we're going to try it again because it doesn't have to do all the same stuff. It's not going to download again, but here it's building, it's mounting. It says port available over here. Make public maybe. Maybe it needs to have a public port here. I'm not sure what's going on there. But I don't understand this mounting thing. So what's going on here? So mounting inside running container. I don't know what this is. SAM build hanging on mounting. Okay, let's take a look here. Sometimes even though Docker states it has shared entire drive, the user directory has not shared. It's because we're using Gitpod. I wonder if there's something that is happening that shouldn't happen. We have been facing issues with our team mounting phase of the Lambda 30-40 minutes before it proceeds to the next step. We have tried with 3 SAM versions, and we see this behavior in all 3 versions. It is intermediate and happens sometimes on Java Lambda and sometimes on Python Lambdas, which that's what we're using. We have to kill the session or restart the build when it happens. Please see the build logs below. So they say that it happens. And so I'm just going to stop it again and try this again. And while that's going on, I'm going to go back here and read. That's kind of interesting. Now this one's closed. And it was mentioned over here. Okay. Yeah, so they didn't ever solve it. They closed it but never solved it. Thanks a lot, AWS. I hate when they do that. Let's go over here. I'm going to read this for a bit. I'll be back in a second. So actually, it looks like the community was very good about documenting why this problem is happening, that it's causing a bug. But someone else down below here is saying they use the use container, and they had this folder structure, so template, lambda, auto start, py. And so they were specifying the file like this. And so what they did was instead they just specified the folder in this format. And they said that resolved the issue. Also over here, it seems like AMD64 images for SAM build user container might have problems. So maybe what we can do to make our lives a little bit easier is we'll take out the architecture. So it defaults to x86. That's one thing we can do. The other thing is that it's saying in this directory structure here, let's go up here. We have the template YAML file and over here. So I'm not sure if this is relative to that or the other way around, but it's specifying that maybe we need to fix where this should be. And so here it's supposed to point to a folder, not necessarily the file. I don't know if we'd be able to find the code another way. So this says template.lambda here, lambda autopy. So we'll try this. I don't know if it'll work, but we'll go here and say AWS lambdas. And the lambda we are looking for here is the Crutter. Is it Crutter messaging stream? Yeah. Well, that's not a lambda. That's a template file. What the heck? What was this? Oh, that's outputting our template. That's not what we want. Where did it go? Where's our code? Did we lose our code? Okay, well, this build toml's not supposed to be here, so we'll delete that out. But clearly this folder's been overridden. We'll go back over here because our code's not supposed to be gone. So clearly we've done something weird. I'll go back over here. I'm gonna look at our commits because it would have removed it out of the last one here. So we'll go into SAM template. And yeah, it deleted the file. So we'll just open this up. So we'll just bring this back in because we don't want to get rid of that. Okay. And we'll go back over here. Well, no wonder it's not working. This is called Lambda function, I believe, .py is what we called it. We'll go ahead and paste that in here as such. Okay, I'll go back over here. I'm going to delete this out of here. This is not supposed to be here, delete permanently. And I'm going to go back here and just, you know, fix the code URI, fix the code template. Okay, and so maybe, go back over here, we'll try a Crutter messaging stream. We'll save that, and I'm going to go back and try this again. So I'm going to go out here because there's no way it's going to resolve because there is no code. And we'll go ahead and hit up. We're going to observe what happens in this lambdas. Hopefully it doesn't override it this time. And so because we switched it from ARM to x86, it has to download the image again. So I'll be back here when it's done. And we're just not going to do ARM because if that's a edge case that's messing it up, let's just stay off of it, okay? All right, so now we've gotten past that issue, and it went on to package. Now, I don't know if it did it right, but we tried it. So successfully packaged artifact and wrote the output file to here, package YAML. So what might be interesting to look at in this build here is the template that's generated out. Because if you go down here, we can go and see the code URI. And look, it says this. That's not what we specify, but that's what it replaced with. It said code URI here. And then when we go in the package, it might even have an absolute path. Let's take a look at what it does there. So notice here, it actually adds it to S3. This is where it's uploaded to. And so that prefix was useful because it put it into DDB. So that is actually very useful for us. Let's go over to, we also did a deploy, but it has a change set. Down below it says failed to create change set, encountered for the expression status, failed reason required capabilities. So we knew that we might run into that issue. So we'll go down below here. And I'm just going to update this to be a capacity named IAM. So we do have a bunch of steps here that I kind of want to break up. You know, I wanted it to be one, but unfortunately that's not how it's going to be. So we'll go here and make a, yeah, it's up to, it depends on how we want to do this. Because it's not necessary, this is not CloudFormation, this is SAM. So I'm going to go here and make a new folder called SAM. I don't know how much SAM we're going to be doing. But we'll go here, we'll just say folder DDB. And then in here, we'll have build. I know, don't you love having tons of folders? Build, package, deploy, And if we want to do an all, we can, but I'm going to keep it simple and just have the separate 3 ones and run them manually until I get annoyed with it. So we'll bring this over here, and I'm just going to bring these over, because all I need to do is that one, right? So I'm going to bring these 2 lines in and paste that in there, paste that there, paste that there. Then I will bring in the SAM validate. We'll do that at the build step here. Okay. And we'll bring in these. Okay, this is reliant on probably all of these, so grab all 3, 4 of those probably. Go up here. Does this need a bucket? Not yet. So this one doesn't need the bucket. It needs config template function, so it needs those 3. So that's our build done. We'll go to the next one here. And so we'll do package. So grab this one, paste that in here. This one needs the template path and the output template path, so we'll paste those in here as such. It did not do what I asked it to do, so we'll undo that. Right-click copy, right-click paste. Okay, and we'll bring those up. We'll go up here. Do we repeat template path here for no reason? Yeah, we do. We don't need it twice here. I mean, it doesn't matter. We're going to delete it anyway, but artifact path, config path we don't have, so we'll bring that in. Copy. Paste. Okay, bring that down. And we'll go up to deploy. And then we need the last one, which is our deploy. So we have our package already, so let's bring that up a line here. We need our config path. Paste that in there. And there we go. Okay, so that is looking pretty good there. We won't get rid of this file just yet because we'll make sure our new ones work properly. But I'll go and test those individually. First, we got to chmod that stuff. U plus X. And that would be bin sam ddb build deploy package. Okay, so those are now like that. Bin sam ddb build -t requires an argument. Well, is it not there for the build? Let's go over there and take a look. It's right there. Oh, because it has to be above. So we'll bring that up one. Sorry. That's the problem. We'll run this again. Looks good. Great. We'll go and do the package. That looks great. And then we can go ahead and do our deploy. Now just understand that, you know, we are sharing this one directory here. So as we're running different ones, you know, like some might override other ones. So just be aware if you do a build on one and do a package in another SAM thing, if we do another SAM thing, that we have to just be aware of that. Or we have to specify direct outputs for those folders so they don't conflict. Bin sam ddb deploy. So that didn't have the right permissions, and now we can do that. We broke that up so we could just run the deploy. It's going to create a change set, and then we'll have to go and confirm it. If it creates a change set, that'll be great. I'm just going to go ahead here, and it is. It looks like it's creating the change set. Cool. Okay, so I'll go over here, and oh, it executed the change set. I thought it would wait for us. All right, I guess that's not that bad, but I thought our deploy would wait. Do we not have? Oh, you know what? I think, oh, that no execute change set is so that it won't execute it. Oh, okay. So really what I want is no execute change set in there because it just attempted to deploy without us reviewing first, which is kind of annoying. But we'll go here and just add this and say work in progress for DDB SAM. Okay. And we'll go down here and we'll just take a look at what we got going on here. So we have resource handle return, resource of type, log group with identifier already exists. Yeah, it does already exist. That is true. So that's totally fair. So what we'll do is we'll go into our stuff here. We don't need this file anymore, this DDB. This is useless, so we'll delete that out. But we'll go up to our template file that's under CFN, DDB, template. And in here we have, where is it? The log group here. Because we have the other one there. I'm just going to call this one, I'm just going to put 2 zeros on the end of it. I'm just trying to get it so it works. I don't really care about the name too much. And we'll hit up and we'll see what we get for that. And we can't just do, because there's a failed rollback, we'll probably have to go and tear it down manually. Nothing new for us. So we'll go here into CloudFormation. We'll go ahead and delete that. Yeah, it's this one. I wasn't even like carefully looking. I just started deleting stuff. But yeah, it's not DB, not DB, it's DB. Delete failed. Okay, why not? It's gonna be like, you have a bucket. You can't delete because of a bucket. I don't know why. Let's go take a look and see what it's complaining about. So we'll go to events. Risk cannot be deleted as it's currently protected by. Yeah, of course, because we enabled that. So you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a flag for that, and at some point we can decide if we want to have that on or not. So where is this? Deletion protection. So we'll go up here and we'll say deletion protection. Oh, come on. Just copy and paste for once, please. Just do what I ask you to do. I'm not asking for much here. So we're gonna go and look for this again. I'm just gonna double click, right click, copy, and we'll go all the way up here and we'll go down below and we'll do right click, paste. And we'll do type, I think it's Boolean. We'll just say default false, because that's just kind of annoying. I mean, it would have been annoying if it worked the first time, but for the time being, we're just going to do this. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll go over to Dynamodb. Looks like we already have Dynamodb open there, but we'll go here because it created the table and I can't get rid of it. So this is the new table created. So we'll go here, actions, turn off deletion protection, confirm, and then we can go back over to here and we can go ahead and delete the stack. So we'll go ahead and delete that. And ignore this because this says retain the resources. We want these to be deleted. This is if you couldn't get it to work, it would delete everything but that. But we do want that to go. So we'll give it another go and it should delete it this time. So I'll be back here when that's done, okay? All right, so we deleted that stack. Let's go take a look at, what were we doing? We deleted the stack because it didn't work for some reason. Oh, the protection, right? And so we can't just do a deploy. I mean, technically we could do a deploy, but it's gonna use whatever's here. And so we need to update the package. Do we need to run build every time? Not necessarily. It really depends on, like for instance, we're not changing the Lambda code. The Lambda code's fine, but we don't have to run every single step. The problem is I don't remember what it is that we can do. So unless you want to play around with it and figure it out, I don't know. So I'm just going to do build, package, deploy, because it's not taking that long to do. So, but you shouldn't have to do it every single time. I just can't remember. So we'll go ahead and we'll do a deploy. I think it was permissions issue that we had here. Maybe, I don't remember. Oh, right, we changed the name. We changed the name of the thing there. So failed to create change set when calling the template, error occurred, parameter type Boolean. Well, why didn't it tell me that sooner before we even built or deployed it? So it's complaining about this type here. We'll go take a look and see what it wants. So parameters, CloudFormation, okay? And we'll take a look. And what I want to know is, do we have Booleans? Do we have Booleans? No, we don't. So then it's probably a string. Okay, so we'll go back here and I'll change it to string here. And we'll just run all three again. So we'll do the build. Okay, we'll do the package. and we'll do the deploy. We'll give it a moment there. And this time we told it not to execute the change set. So we have to go, see, it did that. So now we can go and check before we let it run. So we have an opportunity to intervene. I personally like to check my change sets before I run them. You might not like doing that. You might just like to let it roll. But I always like to do that because I want to know what it's going to change before I do it. In a GitOps kind of situation, it's going to be a bit different. But we'll go here and because like the change set is really the flow is different is all I'm trying to say. We'll go back over to our stacks here. Oops, we're in the wrong one. I don't know why. Maybe I clicked an older one here, but we'll go to CA Central. And we'll go into here, and we'll just close that out. I'll go to my change sets, and I'll look and see what it's going to do. So this is what it's going to do. Let's go and execute the change set. We'll go ahead and do that. And it's going to create that. And, you know, if it fails, it fails. But we'll wait a little while here, and I'll come back with the results, okay? All right, so it looks like we got a failure here. Let's figure out what the issue is, or we got a rollback at least. So what is its issue this time around? Uploaded file must be a non-empty zip. Okay, so it's suggesting that what it uploaded has nothing in it. So there clearly is a misconfiguration for us. The way we can figure that out is to go over to S3 and download the contents. But I thought it wouldn't even upload unless there was something there. So something is not correct, but we'll figure it out here. So we'll go over to any other tab for AWS here, and we'll go to S3. We'll make our way into our buckets. And we'll go into CFN artifacts. So what I'm looking for here, DDB. I wish this all had a prefix. Maybe we can put these in prefixes. I don't know. Because it's getting kind of messy, I think. And so in here we have, well, hold on. CFN artifacts, is this where it actually uploads this? I'm not 100% sure. Well, we'll just have to open it and find out. So we just downloaded that file there. We're going to open it up. And when you download it, it doesn't even have a name on here. See, it looks like that. I think what we can do is put a .zip on it. Because I know these are zip files. And we open it up, and it's empty. So there's nothing in there. It's not uploading anything. So we must be pointing to the wrong thing. I'm going to do one thing. I just want to kind of clean up our artifacts a bit because this is getting kind of messy. I wonder if we can just empty this directory here. So I'll go over here, and I just want to empty that bucket. I'm just also just curious about CloudFormation deploy, if we can have prefixes on other stuff, because that would just clean things up a bit. CloudFormation deploy. You can have an S3 prefix, so maybe that's something that we'll want to do. I'm just going to do that now to get it out of the way so we don't forget about it. And so we'll go back into our templates here for all our other ones. This would be under the bin directory, I suppose. So if we go into bin, where are you, bin? Oh, we are in bin, okay. And we have this stuff. So we'll go down below, and I just want to specify a prefix. So this one would be CRUD cluster. I mean, we could just say cluster, I suppose. And we'll go into here. And we'll go above, and we'll paste that in. And this one is going to be DB. And we'll go to the next one here. Paste. This will be networking. And then we'll go down here. And we'll do this, and we'll say backend service. Okay, and so hopefully that's going to make things a lot easier for us, just or to organize that folder. But we did empty it, so things are a little bit more clear. And so the issue is that the folder is empty. Why is the folder empty? It has to do with what it's pointing at. At least that's what I think. So let's go back to our template here. Wherever that is. In Where are we going? We're going into, sorry for moving the mouse around so much there. We're going into CFN here. And we're going into DDB, into this template. So we assumed, and we could assume this wrong, that this AWS Lambda is relative to where we run this command, or at least where the folder that we're in. And so maybe that's not the case. Maybe this is going to be relative to wherever this file is. And so maybe something that would be very easy for us to do to test would be to move this folder around so that it's a little bit more easier to find. So what I'm going to do is take this Lambda here. I'm going to move it into this one here. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is, instead of doing this, I'm going to take this out. Okay. And then have that. And so hopefully that might resolve our issue. I don't know if that's true, but we'll give it a go. So I'll do bin build. Now here's another question, is like, it builds out the template or the code. Would we see the build anywhere in here? Dev container, no, that's not useful. So see, this is empty. So maybe whatever's in here is what we're gonna get. So it says here, file not found, continue to build without dependencies. And so I think it's this folder that's building out, and this folder's empty. So that way we'll know whether this is working or not. So I'm going to just delete that folder. I just want to be sure that's the case. We'll run it again. Okay. All right. It made a new folder. Notice the folder is empty, so it's not picking up the file. So there's something that we don't understand about the pathing here. We'll try AWS, CFN, DDB, this, and see if that picks it up. We'll try this again. We'll expand this. Still no files there. So if it's not that, I guess something that we could really test and rule this out is, what if we took this and brought this to the top level directory? Just trying to get it to top here. However we want to get it to top. I want it top. Top, top, top. Come on, bring it to the top. Yeah, moving to AWS. I still want it up more. Now it's here. They don't make it easy to bring it top, do they? Okay, so another thing we can do, if it's not going to move that way, we'll just go AWS. We'll say move this up one directory like this. And so now it's top level. It should be here. Okay, and so what we'll do is we'll just change this out to be this folder. So I'm trying to figure out, what is this relative to? That's what I don't know. Is it to the template, to the bash script? Is it to the folder we're in? They don't tell us that. But, you know, that's what happens when, you know, they don't use their own stuff. Okay, so we'll do that. And so now we'll see if that works. Is it working? It's hanging. There we go. Okay, so it's still empty. So this is telling me that it's not relative to this folder here, right? So I just want to see that it works. And what we could do to make this a little bit easier is maybe we could just make this a new folder, because we do have a bunch of folders for different things. And so I'm going to go here and we'll just say new folder, DDB. Okay. And then I will move in these files in here. So we will bring in this into DDB. So wherever DDB is here, like that. And then we have our CloudFormation. So I'll go ahead and grab that. So these will just be directly grabbed into here, like this, into the that folder. Where did that folder go? Right here. Good. So let's move that into there. And we want to bring in the bin scripts. So this was under SAM. So bring that there. And again, I'm just simplifying it so that we can rule out more of those edge cases. And then I'm going to bring these up to the top level directory here. like that. And then I'm going to get rid of these folders. It's just too hard to figure out like what's what. And I don't think we're going to easily find that in the documentation. And I remember that's why I structured my stuff there, because it was just too hard to figure out. And I probably knew at one point what it was, but I don't anymore. So here the directories have changed. And so now this is now in DDB like this. Well, no, not exactly like that. Would be DDB. And then this one is just DDB. And then this one is just DDB like that. So that is a lot more simplified for our scripts, for our build at least. And so now in our template, yeah, it should just be that. So to me, that should simplify it as best as we want it to be, right? I just want to make sure this stuff isn't in this folder. Config toml, this is supposed to be top level, so we'll make sure that's top level. And we'll make sure this template is up here, like that. There we go. Okay, we'll try this again, and we'll see if it builds properly. Oh, right, it's not there anymore. So it's in DDB build. Sorry. Requirements.txt not found. That is totally okay. We're going to go up to our directory here, build. Still nothing. I'm going to delete this out. This is very frustrating. What if we add a requirements.txt? Even if there's nothing in it, let's just go add one to satisfy that. Oh, and this is not in there, so hold on. We'll move that up a directory. I don't want to lose this code. But notice I'm collapsing this and it's not showing anything. So it makes me think that this code is not in there. So I'm going to just go here. Yes, we want to move it. Permission denied. Oh, for frick's sakes. We'll go here and do DBB. Maybe it was working the entire time and we just never moved the folder. We'll never know because I'm never going to go back and do that. It's just too much work. Do ls. What? So DDB, CRUD messaging stream, and then you have AWS inside of there. Why? Oh, there's some stupid linking going on here. Oh, no, that's just folders. Sorry. We'll delete that permanently. There we go. Delete. Retry. Give me a break. Give me a break. Okay. Remove AWS, Lambda, CRUD, maybe RMDIR. Sudo. Great. Didn't blow any of our AWS stuff away. No, I don't think so. Our Lambdas are still here. This old one's still here. This CRUD messaging stream. That's what it was, CRUD messaging stream, yeah. So we'll go ahead and we'll delete this because these don't have anything in them. Don't give me permissions nonsense. What the heck is going on here today? Okay, we're going to go up a directory. I don't know what happened to the permissions, but we'll say AWS, Lambdas, CRUD, messaging stream. I'm going to just say RF, dir. There's no R flag. Let's just force that. There's no that. We'll just do rmdir. I don't care if it's not empty. Just get rid of it. There's nothing in there. Force it. Remove. RF. Here's your permission. I do not know what's going on here with these folders. Great. Is that stuff on? Great. Okay, down below here. I want this file in there. What has gone with my permissions? I think when we dragged it around, it did something weird. ls-la. Gitpod still is Gitpod. CRUD messages stream. ls-la. And then that says root. And then it has AWS in there. So I'm going to say remove CRUD stream. Yeah, I know it's a directory. -force rf. ls. Remove AWS. -rf. Remove AWS. Great. So some weird stuff going on there. Oh, you need permission like that. There we go. And so now this looks a little bit more normal. I'm not saying that was our problem, but It's nice when it's a bit easier to see what we're doing. So we'll go ahead and do a build again, wherever that was. Bring this down so you can see what's going on. Drag this over so we can see. And I'm just going to clear this out because this is not really helping. We're going to go DDB. 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 Come on, let me do DDB. Oh, you know what? I have to go back a few directories. Okay, sorry. DDB. Period DDB. Build. Okay, so we'll do that. It's going to go ahead and build. So it still says it's not finding that file. Well, we never made that file, did we? It still looks like it's not in the correct directory. That's really driving me crazy. And it still shows nothing in there. So we'll go back into this directory, DDB. CD crutter messaging stream. I don't know why it's doing that. Did it create that and that wasn't there before? Yes. ls. Okay. New file, requirements.txt. Just to make it happy. There's nothing in there, but we're just trying to make it happy. And we'll run this again. I'm watching this folder to see if it makes anything in here. It does. So that's not us. It is the one that's outputting that stupid folder. I do not like that folder. I'm telling you, I'm going crazy. I don't know what it wants us to do. I really don't know. So it's creating this stupid folder here. It's telling me it can't find the requirements.txt. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to play around with this, but you know, I think that we got a lot done here. So I'm gonna commit it for now. And we'll say work in progress. We reworked that and we'll just have to figure this out. Okay. So I'm gonna go look at some of my example code. I'll be back when I figure it out, but I'm gonna stop the video here and upload it because we're at the 2-hour mark and I want to make it easy.